this tutorial taking the course PCR331. I happen to be a very first time on this course, and it's more going to be it's not going to be a long class, it's more of a formal introduction as we cover some things. With this being said, let's go straight into it. Okay, so we have PCR 331. PCR 331 is the course. Okay. Now, like I usually say, okay, what we teach on this channel, content we produce on this channel are basically for educational and informative purpose. Okay, educational and informative purpose. So today we're talking about conflict resolution. Okay, but before we talk about conflict resolution, let's understand what it means by the term conflict. All right, when we discuss a particular phenomenon, we get to know the genesis, the origin, all right, of what it means by this phenomenon. Then handling it will be easy. Okay, so now the word conflict is a concept synonymous with human behavior. All right, it is what? Synonymous. Okay, with human behavior. We're going somewhere. Now, since man cannot exist in isolation, then in the course of interacting with others, all right, with the course of interacting with other members of the community, there will be disagreements and misunderstanding, okay, and events / situation / happening that occurs / produced, okay, as a reason or as a result of humans interacting with one another. Are we getting it? In our retrospective classes, we were able to establish the fact that conflict is not a bad thing. All right? If you have it at the back of your mind, that whenever you have a misunderstanding or you have a disagreement, it is because that person hates you and that person doesn't like you. No, conflict is not meant to be negative. All right? Even though some conflicts are negative, admitted, but all conflicts are not meant to be negative. Originally, conflict is expected to be constructive. All right? Because just like it is a must for us to interact, definitely we must also disagree. On several occasions, we will definitely disagree because there are certain things we will not agree to and the other person will agree to. And we have to reason together to reach an expected end. Therefore, we'll have to disagree to agree. And this is what and where conflict comes in. Man is said to be a social animal. All right. Man must definitely interact. Okay. man, most definitely, we must interact. And as a result of that, when we interact, we get to misunderstand each other. Okay? We get to have disagreements, and this is where conflict comes in. Okay? So we have the meaning of conflicts. All right? So conflict can mean, like I said, I've made mention of two now, disagreements. Okay? It could mean revolt. All right? It could also mean opposition. All right? Misunderstanding, and so on and so forth. Now, the emergence, all right, of conflict depend on the issue at stake. Okay? Whatever that might have led to the conflict is dependent on the issue at stake. Okay? Now, conflict exists when two people wish to carry out acts that are mutually inconsistent. Now, they will want to do the same thing or do different things that are incompatible. That means that when we don't see eye to eye, all right, when we begin to see each other as incompatible, then conflicts around the corner. So one thing we need to understand about conflict is that human behaviors, all right, there are certain human behaviors in conflict. Having understand what conflict is, there are certain human behavior, all right? How does human behave when there is conflict? You begin to see things like competition, all right? You begin to see inequalities in chances, power, and reward. And you begin to see subjugation, all right? Human behavior in conflicts, all right? You begin to see inequality when some begin to see themselves as better or privileged or more powerful than others, then you begin to see competition. It is me, I want to take it first, I want to be in charge. And we see things like subjugation, all right, expansion. We are stronger than them, let's put them under our control. Just to mention but a few. Okay, so we have that as that. So there's also something called conflict analysis. Okay, when we talk about conflict analysis, something we've taken before now, reflecting class, this involves an evaluation, all right, analysis. You evaluate the values, the attitude of people involved in a conflicting situation, all right? Conflict analysis, okay? Conflict analysis, the evaluations of roles, values, and attitude. Roles, all right, values, and attitude, all right, the evaluation of the roles, values, and attitude of the people involved in a conflict. Sometimes you can call these people stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who are directly or indirectly involved in a conflicting situation. Okay? So there's something called conflict prevention as well. Like I said earlier, everything, all the content we put out here, all right? I think there's something I'm missing, are basically educational content. All right, please let's note that the content are educational content and they are there to educate, all right, educate us and keep us informed as well. So we have that as that. Now, conflict prevention is seen as the process of making peace recall based on historical antecedents. Okay? Based on your past experience of conflict, you don't want it to repeat itself. So you try to make peace recall, all right, based on the historical antecedents. From the human behavior that we talked about earlier, the consequence of inequality can be prevented, all right, from recurring by ascertaining that the concept of equity and justice is upheld. All right. When you replace injustice with justice, then you find out that, okay, that there will be peace. You prevent conflict. Okay. You ensure that there is peace. Peace recall. The process of making peace recall based on historical antecedents. Then we have that as conflict prevention. Also, we have conflict management and resolution. A conflict is resolved when some mutual sets of actors, all right, are worked out. It involves an ordinary and non-violent handling of parties involved. The parties with perceived incompatible goals seek to consider each other. All right, we have actors here doing the back and forth. Okay, that process whereby some mutual set of actors are worked out, whereby strategies involving ordinary and non-violent handling of stakeholders, all right, to help them access or perceive those incompatible goals and begin to consider each other. So we have that as that. So very quickly, we have the types and modes of conflict. All right, we have political conflict. This is conflict that revolves around uh, the political space. Also, we have economic conflict. It's also almost the same as political, but it's more of economic factors. All right, when resources are not properly shared. All right, we also have the gender-based conflict. All right, where we have the conflict that comes out from the inequality of gender. All right, so we have that as that. So we have the mode of conflict. We have the international conflict that occurs among different countries. The organizational conflict. Okay, Miss Cecilia, Miss Cecilia, is great to have you on board. I can see you got a badge. That was a good one. Um, you obtain a membership badge. Please, Miss Cecilia, endeavor to message me. Please send me a message on WhatsApp after this class. I beg of you. I need to put you through things properly. Okay? So we have that as that. We also have the organizational conflicts. When we talk of the organizational conflict, this is mostly associated, okay, with workplace. This is the conflict that occurs in workplace, associated with workplace. All right. We also have the environmental resource conflict. The availability of natural resources in the community serve as a source. So when it's not properly apportioned, then we have the environmental resource conflict. Okay. So we have that as that. Like I said earlier, this is more like the introduction to the course. And in our next class, we'll be taking, all right, this class further as we, oh, who is doing this? So sorry. One of our members of the class calling. Probably doesn't know I'm in class. All right. So in our next class, we'll be taking off from conflict resurgence. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. All right. We've been able to understand what it means by conflict and how it can be managed, how it can be controlled. We've also been able to understand that conflict is not necessarily negative. It's supposed to be constructive in the sense that it helps us understand each other better, know our boundaries, and work together in peace and love together. You have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to your subsequent tutorials. Bye for now.